Welcome into another episode of Coastin here on FloHockey TV. I'm Evan Pimnick, voice of the Adirondack Thunder, joined as always by David Fine, the voice of the Reading Royals, as we continue on with another great episode. That means another great guest. And today we are joined by Mark Cooper of the South Carolina Stingrays. Mark, thanks for joining us here on Coastin, man. I know, you're a busy guy today, hanging out by the pool. You're trying to wipe the rest of the sunscreen off your face. How's everything going down in SoCo?
It's good. Obviously, this year's a little different. We can't enjoy the amenities of Charleston, I guess, as much as last year, but it's good. We got a good group of guys here. Team's been a bit up and down, but we've kind of found our stride in the last 10 games here, and we got a road trip coming up, so hopefully we get rolling and keep the boat rolling here and solidify a playoff spot in this final stretch.
Yeah, you guys are currently fourth in terms of points percentage, and Orlando has one more point, played one more game, so you guys are neck and neck. But it's just interesting because normally this would be like the last day of the regular season almost, like beginning of April, and
yeah.
You guys got two more months to go and 30 more games, and it's like a 4 and 5 every week for, it seems like, every team. So what are the things that you're doing with a few years of pro experience to make sure that you're, not wearing out with 30 games to go for this quick stretch run?
Yeah, it's definitely been a different year. With all these 4 and 5s coming up, you kind of don't want to get caught looking too far ahead. You kind of just want to stay focused on the next game or the next series you got. It's definitely going to be a tough schedule. Hopefully get some wins and maybe some days off to rest and stuff. But taking care of the body is obviously crucial. Lots of water, stretching, and taking rest when you can find it with these crazy schedules.
One thing, about you've been in South Carolina for a few years, and you were one of the guys who had an opportunity to kind of pick where you wanted to play in the ECHL coming out of college, got some AHL experience right off the bat. What drew you to South Carolina? What were some of the selling points for you, and then what's the reason that you continue to stay down there?
Well, I kind of bounced around a little bit early, but South Carolina, the city of Charleston was a selling point for sure, and then the history of this team here. They obviously have a good storied past of winning championships, and I think they've missed the playoffs one time in their 7 years or so. Being an older guy who want to go to a winning franchise and winning organization, and last year kind of stunk the way it ended because we had a good team and looked poised to make a run, but hopefully this year we can continue the winning tradition here and go on a run in the Kelly Cup playoffs.
There are two regrets as the voice of the Reading Royals from last year in 2019-20. The first one being is that the Royals and the Newfoundland Growlers didn't get a chance to play a 7-game series, which would have probably been in the second round had it come to fruition when the season ended. And the second one I would say is that because the Royals were having a really good year and South Carolina was, you guys are obviously on fire. Florida was really good too.
Yeah.
I would say that's like the second regret, is that sort of like South Division versus North Division. Like, is the North really going to be better than the South, or is the South just racking up points against maybe like Jacksonville a few too many times last year? So in terms of last year, how did that invigorate you to want to return given the success that you guys had as a team in 1920?
Yeah, obviously, like, we lost Coach Steve Bergen to Sacred Heart. That was a loss, but the hiring of Ryan Blair, who had been here last year, attracted me, and then you start seeing guys sign, just following the Stingrays on Twitter or talking to guys in the summer, and then it's like, oh, well, we could get this group back because there's a few of us, myself and Cole Yulee. I think Cole Yulee finished with 1 game before being a vet. Like, just he would have been a vet if the season had finished, and I would have been a vet as well. So it was kind of like last kick of the can where we can have the same group before we're all veterans and can't play together again. So it was a fortunate end of the season, just the timing wise. I think I finished with 5 or 6 games in hand of becoming a vet. So being able to get the majority of our group back was a real treat. And then I was extremely excited to get down here and get the ball rolling again.
And as an older guy now in the league, getting that veteran status and you having an opportunity, I know one thing when you become a veteran, you get the opportunity to sign wherever you want and kind of shape your career. You doing what you're doing now, was there any sort of thought of maybe, what's next for you in terms of staying in the ECHL, trying to grind it out to see if, an AHL contract's in the nearby, or maybe even going overseas?
Yeah, I've definitely considered overseas for sure. I've pursued it a bit in the summers, but it just nothing's ever felt really right. And I don't know, growing up in North America, your dreams to play in the NHL. It's not to play in Europe, and going to Europe is it's not the be all end all, but a lot of guys, once they make the jump across the pond, they kind of are giving up on that NHL dream. I know it's getting later in my career, but I still have aspirations to move up and make it. And you hear stories of guys like Joe Ward making it late in his career and other guys like that. So I feel like if you keep believing in yourself and give yourself chances, you gotta keep trying.
Yeah, I'm sure it makes you a little hungrier too. You had a teammate, Logan Thompson, who played for the Adirondack Thunder for a few games, but Logan Thompson plays for you guys. Next thing you know, he's backing up in Vegas this year. He played a couple games. Yeah,
he got in a game or two, I think. He was definitely knew he was a good goalie last year. He stole us a lot of games, but that's a quick transition for him. I knew he had the potential and stuff, but really good for him, and he's got a good career ahead of him.
And on that note, you talk about not giving up the dream. This year is not like a maybe typical ECHL year because the rosters are just crazy stacked, and even like Jared Schaffer, who the media guy down in South Carolina, a former Coastin guest early in our Coastin careers. We were trying to get it off the bat here. So Schaff, I think I said something to him, not about this is, a couple months ago. This guy's having a good year. He has this many points. And his response was, imagine how many points he'd have in the old Coast, meaning like last year.
Yeah.
So how much does that weigh into your feelings about, yourself and the team, knowing that, hey, like these rosters are not typical because of how much talent is stacked in the league this year, given the world circumstances?
Yeah, it's the league's definitely better. It sucks for you guys. Your squads aren't playing, but the league's definitely better. It's deeper. Like you'd find sometimes you get a weaker team, and like they'd have obviously guys coming in and out or guys up and down from the SPHL. But this year seems like there's just studs signing all the time, just out of nowhere. Just the guys that have been sitting at home training and, this guy still wants to play. And like, I think everyone wants to play. It's been a tough year to get on a roster. I know guys have been messaging me saying, do you need a guy? Do you need a guy? And we're pretty stacked here. And I guess we can dress another forward this year too, which helps for that. But the league's definitely deeper. It's definitely, and the rivalries are good too, kind of like the NHL. Like you're playing the same teams all the time, even though that happens a lot in the Coast. But it seems this year that the games are just ramped up to another level.
So on top of all the head-to-heads with the same team over and over again, you're anticipating seeing these guys in a playoff series, which, I mean, at the same point, it feels like the entire season series was a playoff series. How intense have those games gotten between teams that you're just sick of seeing at this point?
Yeah, well, like, for instance, we played Fort Wayne a few weekends ago, and, like, we hadn't played them at all. I don't think we played them last year. And by game 3 of the 3-3, it felt like a playoff game. So just these 3-3s and 4-5s against the same team, they just ramps up. And then you look at the schedule and you play them 2 weeks later. So there's bad blood and animosity from game 1 through 4 or 3 of the series. And it's definitely exciting for the fans and the players. It's fun, and like beating a team like you despise feels better than just playing like last year. We'd play Brampton on a one-off and beating them. There's no real rivalry, but it feels good winning this year for sure.
On that, well, maybe not on that note, but I was trying to think of maybe the precise way to say this, the best way to say this, because you're going up to play Indy this week. Obviously, there's a lot of rivalries created throughout this year, but also for yourself, you're a guy that's been around the league a little bit, but it's kind of like the rosters are so turned upside down. So from a player's standpoint in the division, like how many guys, I don't know percentage wise, but like on teams like Jacksonville, just all over the division, Greenville, how many guys are actually similar guys that are back this year? Because then it would take a little bit for the rivalries to kind of kick in, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, the South Carolina Florida rivalry has been a thing, I think, since they've been playing against each other. And Florida got a bunch of the same guys back. So that rivalry didn't miss a beat at all. But the one against Greenville is kind of developing into one here. We played them a ton early and then didn't play them for a while, but we played them supposed to be 4 games in a row, but yesterday's got canceled. That one's really developing. We haven't played Orlando or Jacksonville as much as it seems, but I think we go to Orlando for a 3-3. That'll just ramp up, and they have a few that get same guys back from last year too. But it's been great so far, and it's just seeing the same guys over and over again. You learn their habits, and you get personal rivalries too, which gets you heated too.
And being in these situations, I know it's a very strange season and all that stuff, and I'm sure that makes team bonding a lot tougher too. And to get a lot of the same guys back from previous years, I mean, that's got to help a lot in the room, knowing that you guys can't do as much together as a team outside the rink.
Yeah, for sure. All the guys were extremely excited to come back, and we pretty much just hang out around our apartments, and there's a few restaurants we can go to, but there's some, like, we can't sit at tables more than 8 people. So like we can't get the full group together. It's definitely different getting to know like the newer guys, and but I don't know, it helps for sure with like having a bunch of guys come back. You can see teams that are a bunch of new guys had struggled at the beginning and are starting to find their way now. But like you said, it was definitely better having the guys coming back.
I got one more about South Carolina, and then we'll get to making sure we chirp Piv about 20 more times throughout the course of the rest of the interview. Okay. So
that's fair.
I really think that among the teams that have kind of walked and talked the way that you're supposed to this year, South Carolina and Wheeling might be like 2 of the best in terms of trying to make sure not only, from a player safety standpoint that you guys are safe and healthy, but also just in terms of like the messaging from the leadership. I know Rob Kincannon, walked into the room at the start of the year, according to Schaff, and Schaff said he was like, "Hey guys, like, don't mess this up, don't do anything stupid." So what do you remember about that? What do you think about the way South Carolina has prepared you guys to be safe so you guys can execute and not have to worry about all the other things that could happen if it went sideways?
Yeah, Rob came in and kind of set the standard straight early in the year, saying like set out our guidelines. It was quite clear. We golf. We're allowed to golf, so that helps too. So, but regarding the COVID thing, like we have a bunch of older guys, and we realized that like the season wasn't a given. Like things could change coming in, and having a bunch of older guys who understood that and understood like, hey, this is our job. Like we need to take this seriously. Kind of helped. I think guided the younger guys to just like follow these guidelines. It's not too hard. It's going to be 1 year hopefully. And like once we're at the rink, it feels pretty normal other than wearing a mask everywhere. And once you're on the ice, it's normal. It's just got to get past it felt like coming from Canada this summer, like everything was locked down, then coming down here and then getting to the rink and stuff, that just, it became normal. And once you're at the rink, it's fine.
How surreal was that for you going from, being here in the States and the season shutting down and then you having to figure out a way to get home? I'm sure you got home before the borders closed, but then to come back and see there's no line at the border and probably have to get a good grilling from the Border Patrol. What was that experience like?
Yes, coming home, I wasn't sure. I kind of rushed home at the end of last year. I just wasn't sure kind of what the border would look like, just even if they'd let me in or not. So I kind of, once the season officially got canceled, I was like, all right, I got to go home. I think I drove to Pittsburgh from here, which was a good 12, 13 hours, and then did the rest of it the next day. There wasn't a crazy amount of issues at the border then, but I think now if you want to come back into Canada, you got to do a hotel quarantine and stuff. And then coming back down here, I was legit the only person at the border. They just asked me a few questions, had a negative COVID test, and I had the work visa, so that helped too. But I don't even think anyone was allowed to come through unless you had a visa. It was a different experience. I've waited at the border for hours before, driving to Bowling Green, and this one was just a breeze. Felt like VIP status.
I was going to say too, because like I remember, and it was a year ago on Easter where, and Piv will know what I'm talking about when I say this, but I drove up to see, I was back visiting family, and I drove to see my dad kind of like 20, 30 minutes north of New York City. And there was like, I saw like 6 people on the highway on like Easter 2020. And I know like when you're driving to the border that, and I haven't been there in the last year, but you know, like the cars can back up and stuff. So you're driving to the border, and like how many miles are there where you're not seeing cars, where it's like these signs like, are you sure you really want to go to the border and stuff?
Well, when I was driving home, I was just looking at the license plates of everyone driving, and they're all Ontario plates. I'm like, everyone's just trying to get home here. I gotta beat all these people.
Zoom
gotta hit the left lane.
And you have the Nexus Pass already too. So for you're the one, you have a Nexus Pass, right? Don't you?
No, I got denied it actually because I didn't disclose my student visa, but they know me at the border now. I've crossed enough times. I'm a local.
Yeah, you have since going to school for 4 years in Ohio at Bowling Green. I mean, you were what, 5-6 hours away?
Yeah. It was close enough to go home if we had an off weekend. I didn't though, but Bowling Green was too fun to leave. But no, my parents came down every weekend. They got the Nexus passes. They were crossing a lot more than I was, and that's a breeze if you can get that. I think it's ideal. I don't cross enough like on a weekly, monthly basis to probably get it, but eventually, if I travel a lot, I'll get it.
We got to talk about your time in college. A lot of fun, as you said, but you played a very important part on the team at Bowling Green. You were one of those guys who was viewed as a leader kind of right away when you came in. What was your mentality when you first got to school? Obviously there's that learning experience where you take probably about a year and soak everything up, but what was kind of the experience for you once you got the ball rolling there?
Yeah, well, Chris Bergeron gave me a great opportunity as a freshman. He was a new coach, so he kind of gave his recruits an opportunity. What they did with it was, and I happened to do well and just enjoyed my time there. Also having one of my good buddies from home, Mike Sullivan, was a grade ahead of me, so that helped to getting the learning curve. The guys would call me and tell me how tough they're gonna be on me as they would walk to the bar and stuff going into my freshman year. So I was a little nervous about that, but it was just all in fun, and it was a great experience. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Physically, I know when guys matriculate would be the word. There's our $1 million word of the day. When you matriculate into an NCAA institution, that for athletic teams, I mean, you got to be physically on your game. Otherwise, you might kind of have a little bit of difficulty starting out. So what were some of the hardest workouts that they put you through when you got on campus there and you started working out with the hockey team?
Oh, I was definitely undersized going into school. I think I gained like 40 or 50 pounds throughout my career there, but we would do some crazy workouts, crazy runs. Our test my freshman year was a 2-mile run. Luckily, and I'm a decent runner, so I was able to pass that, but definitely got exposed in some of the weightlifting testing. And then I remember doing one workout my freshman year. We had to run stadium stairs, do a bunch of clean and jerks with 135 pounds. I think I weighed like 145 at the time, so it was a lot for me. And then push some sleds across the field, and we did it all in a relay race. And we had guys definitely losing their cookies on that one, puking up stuff. But just it's easy to get through those workouts in a group setting too, so that helped a lot. And we had a good the older guys were strong and had been through it, so you'll survive. You just got to battle through it. But it's good team building to get through those tough workouts too.
Yeah, I didn't. We didn't bring it up to Sholey when we had Thomas Shaw on a couple weeks ago, but he was not a fan of those, as they called the gauntlets before every season at Bowling Green.
Yeah, the fitness test changed for my sophomore year and on. It became a pretty aggressive fitness test, and the penalties for not passing it were you just had to keep doing it until you pass. So Sholey struggled a bit with it a little, but eventually got it done, and he battled hard for that. Luckily I'm a good runner, so I was able to get through it, but some guys struggled a
lot. So for those who don't know, on the podcast here, Coop and I go back, 2013, 14, I think. My first year at Bowling Green was your sophomore year, I believe.
Yep, we hit up the dining hall from time to time. Yeah,
that's what I'd see. I'd see Coop at the dining hall after you guys were done with practice. I was getting ready for like my first class of the day, and we just like overlapped. And dude, it's funny just like to see, because we talked about this a couple times with other guests we've had on, just like the experience of going through pro hockey, whether it be at a media level, broadcast level, player level, just like how small of a world it is. And I'm sure for you, you growing up right outside of Toronto, it's even smaller for you. You know what I mean? How cool is it to see guys that you've played with or have been around for a long time, still be around in a different setting? You might run into them playing against them in the ECHL, or maybe skating with them at home.
Yeah, it's definitely, you definitely cross a lot of paths in this league, a lot of roster changes and stuff, and everyone knows someone too. Like there's mutual friends all over. Hockey's the smallest world. Like you go play somewhere, random city in Europe, I'm sure some guy on your team knows guy you played with or something. And it's also cool to see like Piv, like we lived together for 3 years. We're doing the same thing, grinding out in the minors, at different professions. But it's cool to see where everyone's gone, like staff wise and player wise. Just follow everyone's career, and Elite Prospects helps with that a lot too. Love that website.
Yeah, that's a great one to catch up and see what guys are doing. This way you have a little conversation started going, and it's like you ever see like the 6 degrees of separation or whatever it is, like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, I think it's called, like where people like find Kevin Bacon and see like what movies people are in. That's basically what it is. That's the basic thing for like Elite Prospects. It's like you just keep clicking, like, okay, that's how I know this guy, or this good conversation started. So do you scroll Elite Prospects before you get into like maybe a new locker room before a season starts or something like that, and kind of do your homework?
Yeah, for sure. And the league, they haven't been doing it this year, but in previous years they give those stat packs out, so you can look up the guys you're playing against or look up how guys are doing that current year. But definitely spend a lot of hours on Elite Prospects. I don't subscribe to it or prescribe. No, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Sorry. Subscribe. I don't subscribe to it, but but like definitely, and you can go down a wormhole on that thing, just clicking rosters, and I've been on that thing for hours and hours on my bus trips.
Thank you, by the way, for reading a media pack. I appreciate that. I think Finer agrees too, because as media guys, and I'm sure Schaffel, everyone's going to appreciate that, because 90% of our mornings, for the most part, are printing that, stapling that, and handing it out to people.
Yeah.
And usually I go into like the dressing room the next day to go clean up and put a new one out. And they're just like ripped in half. Like people write stuff on. It's like, it's a disaster. So thank you for actually using it for what it's supposed to be used for.
Yeah. The other day we were playing Greenville and I was looking up Schultz. He's got 1,000 games. It took me like an hour and a half to read his stats.
Here's my favorite elite prospects. I just pulled it up. I don't know where Brantford, Ontario is, but that's where Wayne Gretzky was born. He played in 1971-72 for the Brantford. I don't want to mess the next one, for the Brantford Steelers in Atom Hockey. In 85 games, I hope this is accurate. In 85 games, he had 378 goals and 139 assists, 517 points in Atom Hockey in 1972. 378 goals, 517 points in 85 games. I just, can you imagine being that young and you're scoring like 8 points a game?
It can't be fun.
No.
He probably played junior after that. He probably played in the OHL the year after that as an 8-year-old.
Pee-wee Bantam midget. It took him a few more years to get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some crazy numbers. Like Mario Lemieux's Quebec Major Junior League numbers are crazy. I think he had like 300 points one year and averaging 3 a game. I wish. Sometimes when I play men's league with the 50-plus guys at Toronto, I can put up those numbers, but they're not on elite prospects. Those
games get heated up there. We almost we were in Brampton and at the old community rink there. Rest in peace, Brampton. But at the old community rink next door, we were pulling in. It was the first time I had the chance to visit beautiful city of Brampton, and there was like these guys were not only just chirping, like there was like almost like a fight breaking out on the ice. Like these guys were going at it, and we're all standing on the side, half loading stuff in, getting yelled at to hurry up, and half kind of just looking like, is there about to be like something ridiculous that happens here? I mean, I'm sure those games can get pretty heated, right?
Yeah, the men's league games, I don't try and get too heated in them just because you get enough of that during an East Coast League season, but definitely people are playing at 60 years old. They still think they can play in the NHL. Like the ASHL, it's the Adult Safe Hockey League in Toronto. There's like the A Division, B, C, and D, and I got friends in all 4 leagues just grinding away, playing every night. Like it's wild.
So I gotta jump in here because I don't want to veer too much off Bowling Green. Sorry, Piv. So we need the lowdown. You lived with Piv for a few years, so you can say anything. I'm sure he won't talk very badly about you. Like mine, I'll give you an example of what I'm kind of looking for here. Like I went to Syracuse, and my knock was, doesn't leave enough hot water. Always would have back in the day like frozen pierogies for dinner, a little too many vegetables in the fridge, or too many frozen like that's the kind of stuff we're looking for here.
Yeah, you want some dirt on Piver.
Yeah, I need a little bit of dirt. I know I've known him for enough years to have just a little bit, but I need to expand my portfolio here.
Well, Piver was the main floor guy. We had a 6-bedroom house. We had 5 bedrooms up top and 1 bedroom downstairs. So, main floor guy, Piver. I honestly don't have many complaints about Piver. Maybe left a dish or two, but that was all of us. We were young. But actually, one complaint was I tried to learn guitar, but he's way too good for me. So he left me in the dust. And,
no, you got it, man. Like you. So I guess I was like the guy who, like, I'm not even like great at guitar. I was just like I know how it kind of works.
You're good.
Thank you, Mark. But so there was a couple of guys who wanted to learn. I was like, I have nothing. I mean, besides classes and travel and whatnot. Like, I could teach you guys. You picked it up pretty quickly. Like you were one of the guys who stuck to it. I don't know if you've carried on since college, but you had, I think, Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. You had that down.
Yeah.
For the most, which is like that's a pretty, in terms of just learning the guitar, that's a pretty good one to have in your back pocket. And I remember one time in your learning process, I think our washer and dryer broke probably for like the 12th time that year.
Yeah.
So we went to the laundromat because luckily we were one of the few people we had a washer and dryer in our house. How good it wasn't very good because it would break down all the time. But we went to the laundromat and brought the guitars with us at one time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I put my hat out and see if people gave me some spare change. Didn't make any money that night.
No.
Pay for my own laundry, but
yeah. But it's the confidence of you going out there and playing some songs. And one guy I think like looked at us weird, but that was about it.
That's fine. I get a lot of weird looks anyway.
Hey, if that's the one complaint you had about me as a roommate, I'll take it. That's fine with me.
That's it. Maybe because he was main floor guy hogging the couch, but that's we had a good setup. We had like 15 couches in there, 15 spots.
So we had when you walk into our house, it's all open downstairs. Like there's 2 floors. You walk in and we had a pool table that, I mean, it's like, it sounds cool having a pool table, but all it was for the most part was us throwing our backpacks and books on it when we walk in the house. That's all it became.
I don't think we ever played pool once.
No, like the pool balls got used for like, going through walls, but that's about it. So we decided to do stadium seating in our living room. So we put the pool table behind the first set of couches and the other one stacked on top of it. So we had a little bit of it was like a little movie theater in there. We probably thought it was the coolest thing, but
two levels.
Yeah. 2 levels and then
2 levels, big TV.
Big TV, couches on the side. I still have it's right here. I still have the Mark Cooper Samsung.
Oh, nice.
It's still ripping.
It's still kicking?
Yeah, it's still kicking.
It's probably a 1K TV, no?
might be 240p at this point, but after Mark graduated, he was nice enough to let me buy his TV off of him.
Yeah.
I forgot what you were gonna do with it, but
I have a full car,
full car. So I appreciate the full car.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of any roommate stories from you. I mean, I remember you were good. You went to bed at like a decent time. You had your smoothie. You had the Ninja blender.
Oh yeah.
Probably around 9:30. Make yourself a nice smoothie.
A few times probably.
No.
Not
at night. Not at night.
Oh, at night. Yeah. I'd crush a smoothie. I was trying to gain weight, trying to catch up. I was getting killed in the weight room.
Yeah. So I remember we'd soda stream a lot too. That was fun.
Yeah.
We were like one of the few guys. Remember Tommy Burke was always on our case about something. Tommy Burke was the goalie back then, and he'd get on our case about everything. But we had a great group of guys in that house.
Yeah, it was good. It
was fun. It was a fun time.
Who's playing pro? Ben Murphy played a little bit of pro. Nolan Valou, he's on Orlando.
Yep.
He was there. Tyler Spija's on Grand Rapids.
Yeah, that was
we hold each other accountable. We're all playing pro now.
So Nolan left after his first year.
Yeah.
And that left us an empty room. And this is the most college thing that I think we did. We turned the second floor room that Nolan had, even though I was like, I'll move up there. And you guys were like, no, we're going to turn it into a lounge. So you brought like 2 random couches up there, put like LED lights and put a new TV in there. Yeah. And that became the lounge. Instead of me getting out of the main floor and becoming a second floor guy, I was still like, you can't stay up there. We're putting couches up there.
Yeah. No, we did that for a bit. And then I think a guy moved in eventually. We needed the rent to be paid, but we did have a lounge, crushed a few movies and stuff up there. I got a good story about Piver though. We'd go out some nights and Piver being a wizard on the guitar, he's being humble. He's good. He'd give us some live music, little after hours parties at the house and get a good crew going, get some sing-alongs. It was a hell of a time.
Great.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
He actually, you have an underrated singing voice. Like,
thank you.
You have done karaoke. You have the ability to do that. And if I got up there, I think they'd screech me off the stage. So
yeah.
Coop, I'm surprised you actually remember those times. Those were a lot of fun. So
yeah. Well, I remember.
Oh yeah.
On the way home.
I got to ask you my one final question for you. How are the teeth doing?
Still got a denture. Yeah. I didn't wear it. Well, I lost it at school.
I remember
So
that.
Graduation pictures. I had no tooth to wear, which was something else. I actually got Photoshop. I was on the business school's website for an award, and they photoshopped a tooth in. It's for
Did they ask you before that?
no,
Or they just did it.
they just did it, and it was a terrible Photoshop job.
They just put like a fang in there for you.
Yeah, they just like white out, make all it. But they did a Michael Strahan fix the gap.
Yeah,
It's a very topical reference. I like that.
Yeah.
very good. I was going to say.
Yeah, but the tooth's fine. I don't wear my tooth nearly enough, especially now that we have to wear masks everywhere. So I don't feel like I have to wear it. Definitely get less funny looks. Being down in Charleston, Toronto, it's normal, but being down in Charleston, people are definitely look at you funny.
Don't let society, allow you when to put in your tooth. Yeah. Okay.
I wear it proudly.
Top city in one of the top cities in North America. That's how I want to. That's my final thing. Is like, what better place? I know you haven't been able to experience it in much this year, but like,
yeah.
I mean, I can't think of any ECHL. I haven't been everywhere on the coast, but I can't think of any ECHL city that's better and nicer than Charleston. It might be my favorite place I've ever visited. So, I mean, that spot's just amazing. I can't think of any really other cities that I would prefer to live in, honestly, if I had hire or something. So,
well, when I got traded here, I looked up. Well, like I knew about Charleston, but the ratings of it, like best city to live in, and I love it here. The people are great, and there's a ton to do when we're allowed to do it. The restaurants are great. We still order a bunch of takeout from restaurants, but yeah, Charleston's been an absolute treat. It's a great escape. The weather too, like. You have a tough day at the rink. Like my first year is in Rapid City, and then you got to trek home in 20 inches of snow. And here you're by the pool every day if you need to get away from the game mentally for a bit. It's been great. I love it here. Trying to convince my girlfriend like we should maybe think about making a move down here, but it might be tough. It's expensive, but it's lovely here. Probably unreal to come on the road. Me and Piver last year went out for dinner when he came into town, and then I think Piver ended up downtown with the staff and probably had a good night.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, the time I got to spend down there, though it was, I think we had just luckily we had like it wasn't a night with like no. So we had the night before the game, and then we had the game the next day, and then we got out of town right after that. But I would like to spend like a few days down there so we can actually like experience everything. Because like, with game day being the next day, our staff didn't want to stay out too long. And I'm just the radio guy. So I'm like, we could stay out a little bit longer. Yeah. But no, people were not in the same mindset as I was. So we retreated back to the hotel. But we went in February, and coming from Glens Falls, I mean, that's
7
degrees. Yeah. It's so funny because we got into town that day. We had like our heavy jackets and jeans, whatever on. And then I think within like a span of 5 minutes, all the guys got to the hotel. Cause I remember I had to give out the keys. We were waiting for some other rooms to get ready. And within a span of 5 minutes, guys were coming down in like bathing suits and shorts and tank tops. Yeah. It was just so funny to see like Valentine's Day weekend, just our guys just like, hey, getting ready to go hang out by the pool. So I know that they always appreciate that.
Yeah. Like when I was in Rapid City and Kansas City, whenever we'd go south somewhere, whether it be 40 degrees, you're by the pool, shirt off, trying to get a tan, no matter what it is. No matter what month, you're just trying to soak it up.
How's your tan coming along?
It was good for a bit. I got COVID earlier in the year, so I had a 10-day break and couldn't leave the apartment and sat on the balcony, and it happened to be sunny all those 10 days. I definitely caught some rays those days, but the boys spend a lot of time by the pool, and it's a lot of money on sunscreen too. So,
what SPF are you rocking with these days?
Today was 15. I didn't like my how I looked in the mirror this morning, so I want to get a little darker. So, I threw 15. Sometimes I'll rip the 45 on though.
You got to stay safe out there.
Yeah.
One of the No, I was going to say that, and I'll wrap up here too, that if you can figure out someone, because like people that work for pharmaceutical companies sometimes can get free sunscreen because their company will like produce it. So
Yeah.
let's finish up by saying that because you live in the South, I don't have to worry about, now I will in Reading, but if you can figure out a way or a hookup for free sunscreen, I didn't pay for sunscreen for the first 20 years of my life because my dad worked for a pharmaceutical company. When I went to college, I had to buy it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a blast, though. Thanks again for hopping on here, Mark.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the episodes, and I'll get to the bottom of why Tim Harrison didn't want to come on.
Yeah, you were playing, not plan B to Tim Harrison.
Yeah, no.
He was the first asked, and
He's an entertaining guy. He'd be a good one to have on.
Yeah, I don't know. Since we can talk about him now. Have you ever seen the shootout attempt that he had when he was with Adirondack?
Oh yeah, he'll show the boys at the beginning of every year.
Well, that's good. He comes out and shows it.
Yeah, make sure they know it can't get much worse than that. No, he wears that one well. Obviously a tough go there, but I don't know if he's had an attempt afterwards, but we have a shootout every Thursday for practice, and he does well.
Well, yeah, it was like round 14 or 15.
Yeah,
that shootout he'd happen in, and then
the ice was probably in shambles too.
I'm sure he made every excuse under the sun. And also he scored the first goal for us in the playoffs that year. I don't know if you saw that one too.
No,
he scored, put his hands up, and fell down.
Oh well,
so.
Scoring's all that matters.
That's true.
You don't see that on the game sheet, the fall.
No, you don't. But
No.
You just see Tim Harrison goal scored and to put the Thunder up. Hey, Coop, we appreciate you hopping on here again, man. Thanks for doing it. Best of luck. Stay safe. Enjoy the sun and wear a lot of sunscreen.
Yeah.
Keep the tooth in or out, depending on.
Yeah. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
This has been Coastin, presented by FloHockey TV. That's Mark Cooper. For David Fine, I'm Evan Pivnik. We'll see you next time.